Hello everyone, my name is Ben Lanka and I'm the host of the show. This show is based on achievement. I'm going to be interviewing people who've had amazing results, whether it be huge weight loss, body transformation, or have become top in their sport. Now these are everyday, ordinary people. They all have jobs, families, and super busy lives, but have found the time to do something extraordinary. I'm going to be asking them all the questions we all want to know, which is how did you do it? I will uncover their nutrition habits, exercise routine, and motivation. My hope is that by them sharing their amazing stories with you at home, it will help motivate you into action and will hopefully make this year your best year ever. I'm very excited about our guest today, and I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to interview someone that I think our viewers at home will find just as interesting and engaging as I do. Whether you're a frequent viewer of our show or this is your first time you've tuned in to join us, I think you'll be in for a treat with my guest today. As many of you know, my background in the world of health, healthy living, and fitness began with bodybuilding when I was a teenager. Our guest today shares a similar background and now at the age of 37 continues to be top in his sport. He currently holds the title of overall champion for both bodybuilding and classic bodybuilding from his most recent participation in the OPA King Kong Classic, and even more impressively is a three-time IDFA Pro Universe lightweight bodybuilding champion in the natural category. I am truly looking forward to our conversation today with Andrew Marchegiano, not only because I am excited to delve deeper into his experience and opinions on his participation in the sport of bodybuilding, but also to show the viewers at home that the world of bodybuilding is both accessible and welcoming to those who are interested in knowing more about the sport. Join me after the break to meet Andrew and learn more. Welcome back. For those of you who's joining us, I have Andrew here, who's a bodybuilding champion. Welcome to the show, Andrew.
Thanks a lot for having me on.
I know that our backgrounds are very similar. I know I started very young with bodybuilding and everything. I know you have also, if you just want to share your story of how you got started and what inspired you to get into bodybuilding.
Yeah. Well, basically, I started like most people in high school. I was looking to bodybuild just to put on some size for sports, and I fell in love with it. And basically, the old cliche, I found Pumping Iron, the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger that started it all for most people, and I was hooked. So that's how I got started.
That's how you got started, and that's the thing. We came from a generation where, what inspired us was really those 70s bodybuilders and the Pumping Iron movie, and, it was without social media, you're trying to get your hands on the muscle magazines and all that, but the physiques of the bodybuilders back then were, definitely something to strive towards, and I know that that's what inspired me at the same time, kind of the same era, So I know that you just competed, won a show not too long ago. I want to talk a little bit about, I guess, your workouts, and and we're going to get into the nutrition and all that stuff too. But what are your workouts like to prepare for a show in your off season, just to give the viewers an idea of the work that goes into it?
Okay, I like to tell people working out for most just makes you feel good, and the diet is what controls how you look. So basically what I tend to do is I up my calories and focus on really heavy compound movements in the off season, and then closer to the show I'll kind of cut back the frequency of those compound movements and restrict my calories, and I'll carb cycle and turn the workouts into a metabolic workout, so I burn fat and preserve muscle. So that's basically the difference, and it'll be more high rep, a little more cardio. I don't overdo it with the cardio. What I like to do is just up the intensity of the workouts and burn fat that way as well.
So give us an idea then, what would a typical workout look like, and how many days a week, and that sort of thing?
Today I did legs, so I'll give you a little breakdown of what I did. I'll come in, and my leg workouts, I like to break it up into two. So I'll do the front of my legs first, will be on the Monday, and it'll be squats, so I'll have a heavy compound, and I'll get that over with first, so that's my strength component. And closer to the show, the weight will come down to about 70% and the reps will go up. So I'll use that to preserve muscle mass. And then what I do is I proceed to do isolation movements. I'll start to do leg extensions, some functional work like walking lunges, side lunges, etc.
So what kind of rep range are we looking at then in your off season?
Off season will be, I like to do 8 to 12 in the off season for the heavy compounds. And then closer to show, I really up it. I go 20 to 30 reps and really just kill it.
So. And how many days a week would you be training then? I guess both off season and contest. What's the difference?
I've always done a typical bodybuilder split, which is about 6 days a week. I'll have like a Monday legs, next day chest, next day posterior legs, next day back, and then I'll do Thursday and Friday will be small body parts like shoulders and arms, and then I'll have my off day on the weekend.
So what changes then when you get closer to contest? Is it
it's the calories.
Yeah,
and I'm carb cycling, and my carb refeed frequencies will be bi-weekly, and then eventually it'll be every 4 weeks and every 6 weeks, and then eventually very few to no carbs.
So what, I guess I'm going to back this up for just a second here. What does the yearly cycle look like? Like how many months out from a show would you change the routine, start your diet and all that?
And that's funny you mentioned that. Every prep is different. I'm finding as I'm getting older,
you need more time.
It's like I have to keep myself dialed in relatively close, like within 15 to 20 pounds of my contest weight, because the weight just doesn't come off like it used to, and I have a harder time holding on to muscle mass when I have to drop more than 20 pounds.
That's right.
So
well, I found that even, you know, I've done the same thing, and I think the classic bodybuilder type thing was you'd have an off season and you'd gain a whole bunch of weight, and then you go to cut, and then by the time you hit the stage, I'll be honest, I didn't notice a difference. You know, I'm thinking any muscle that I gained, I lost through the dieting process and everything anyway. So by the time I hit the stage, I looked the same.
Exactly right.
You know?
Yeah, and you just feel better when you don't have to drop a tremendous amount of weight. So
it's less stress too. So about the nutrition then, I know that, you know, the workouts vary. Like you said, you go heavy off season, you lighten it up for contests, and a little more cardio based, high intensity based. But we all know that nutrition is probably, that, like you said, that's how you control your composition, your body composition with reducing your body fat. Give us a rundown, I guess, of what that would look like for you, both off season and contest. What do you do?
Well, my diet is typically, I found what foods work for me. I'm using a method called the super compensation method. Basically, I keep my carbs in the off season. I keep them relatively low. So my carb sources, I work with sweet potato and oats. That works for me. And I really find that that is genetically dependent. Like some people that have a different nationality will tolerate rice and white potato. And I judge that by how much bloat occurs when you actually eat the foods. So basically what will happen is in the off season, I'm keeping my carbs low, and then I have my refeed on the weekend. And it stays like that. And I just watch my body weight.
Give me an idea of a refeed.
I go wild. I go
all out? It's all out,
for
whatever
cheat
you
meal.
want.
Yes, absolutely.
And is it all day or?
I give myself 4 hours. It's
Okay.
a 4-hour window, and then that's it.
So you're super clean basically 6 days of the week.
Yeah.
You give yourself, and you said this is your off season.
Yes.
And you're giving yourself a good refeed to kind of replenish your body, your energy stores and all that.
Yes.
And then you notice that in the gym too, I guess.
For
after
sure.
the refeed, everything's full again.
Yeah, and that's why I do all my heavy days early in the week.
Yeah.
So.
No, I definitely, I hear what you're saying. So then what happens when you get into contests, and what does that look like?
Contest mode, typically what I'll start to do is I'll keep the carbs low, and I'll start, say, with a Monday, I'll go very low, like almost what typically most people would call 0. So it's about 60 grams or less. It'll just be greens, and it'll be a Monday. And I'll do that for 2 weeks, and I'll just monitor my body weight. And it'll be the Monday morning body weight and the Friday morning body weight. And then when that differential for 2 or 3 weeks stays stagnant or plateaus, I do a Monday, Friday. And I hold that for a couple of weeks, and when it plateaus, I'll do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Typically.
So on those days, you're taking in mainly just greens and protein.
Basically, yeah.
And
fats.
Yeah, and then as you plateau, you just add another day.
Exactly. Yeah.
And how about the refeeds? Is there any?
What would end up happening is, rather than once I get to the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, instead of doubling up, what I'll do is I'll do a bi-weekly cheat, a bi-weekly refeed, and that will have an impact as well. And
That's the thing I find too when you're and it is hard dieting. You feel your energy's being depleted, and then you also see it in the gym. Your performance starts to diminish.
Yes, the intensity level.
Yeah, everything starts to go down, and it's nice to have that refeed or that cheat meal, because it just, like I said, you go into the gym the next day and it's
just everything lights up.
Like you're the man. It's like, wow, I have all this energy back again. Yeah. What I'm gonna again let's talk about the evolution, I guess, of bodybuilding. Like we were just talking about earlier, kind of, our generation when we got into it. Our mentors, or our, the guys that we looked up to, were those 70s guys, very aesthetic, very, pleasing to the eye, small waists, the big chest, big arms sort of thing, the Arnold Schwarzeneggers of the world. But it isn't like that anymore.
No, absolutely not. No.
I don't know if you want to give us your opinion on what your thoughts are on that.
Well, basically, it's a freak show now, I think, and it's gone from being an art form to a freak show. And you have these monstrous guys jumping on stage that basically are loading themselves up with PEDs and eating as much food as they can to see who can get the biggest. And that, in my opinion, that's not an art form. So it's basically degenerated, in my opinion. But things are looking up in the last little while, sort of turning backward towards the aesthetics, because I guess more people are getting involved in bodybuilding, and so the freak show is not attainable. So,
well, that's the thing is, I remember growing up as a kid, I'd take a look at Frank Zane or even Arnold, and I thought, man, if I work hard enough, I
look like that guy.
I want to look like that guy. Whereas as a kid growing up now, and they look at some of these ginormous monsters that compete in bodybuilding, and I don't see the appeal.
Exactly, yeah, I agree.
So I want you to talk a little bit about classic bodybuilding, because I know that's your category. That's something that you're really looking to get into. If you want to explain what that is versus regular bodybuilding, I guess.
Sure, yeah. Basically, I got started in bodybuilding. I never really wanted to be the big freak mass monster. I focused on my posing, and again, keeping it as authentic towards what the view that I thought was appealing, like the 70s, the Frank Zanes, the Arnolds, etc., people who I looked up to. And so basically, I feel as if like the mainstream, like bodybuilding has gotten so popular, people are starting to see that it's fraudulent in a way, right? And these physiques are unattainable. So what these federations have done, specifically the OPA, is they've gone backward to try and open the sport up to everybody. And so they're really starting to get back to the people that have talent in a way. And
get back to the classic physiques.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
And I think that's the category. Classic bodybuilding is getting back to those classic physiques. And you're seeing it also, they brought in even the physique category.
Yes, and that was the start.
Yeah, which has kind of opened the door more to, you're not having to put in all these years into bodybuilding and able to walk on stage. You can you know, hit the gym for a couple years, you know, develop your upper body and basically, you know, compete in that.
For
and,
sure.
and I do like the classic bodybuilding. But again, I know you're a natural bodybuilder, so you know you're competing in drug tested federations. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about natural bodybuilding too, because that's another category in itself.
Yeah, natural bodybuilding, in my opinion, is very genetic dependent on how far you can go. Having that low waist, the wide shoulders, basically the proportions, that's set at birth. You know, and we're all God's packages, and just some of us are wrapped a little better than others, unfortunately. And I find that you really have to be stringent and knowledgeable with your diet, big time. So to have that look.
Yeah, there's no help from any drugs or anything.
There's not.
You have to really be knowledgeable and on your game.
And mentally strong, because when it comes time to suffer and restrict those calories, you still have to go to the gym and perform. So it's tough. Like, it could be a real mental battle.
Yeah, the one thing that I liked, again, I compete in natural bodybuilding too, but I liked it because I find there's not much for ego. You know, like most of these guys, it's taken years to develop their physique or their bodies that, you know, just another day really, whereas I think you get into the other category and, you know, here's the new guy that in the last 6 months has gained 40 pounds and, you know, and there's a little more of an ego. I'm going to switch gears here a little bit. I want to talk about mindset. You know, what does it take mentally to prepare for shows, or what do you think the winning formula is as far as, you know, character traits that you need to develop to achieve?
You definitely have to be mentally tough, because I find that when, again, restricting the calories, everything, all the small problems, the minutia of life just becomes blown out of proportion when you're starving. And so you really have to be able to set yourself and put the blinders on and really just go focus and get your job done and get out and just, you know, try to maintain the rest of your social life.
Yeah. So what would you say the winning formula is then for training and everything? Like, you know, what is it that really, if you had to give someone advice and say, you know, if there's one thing you need to master, it
would be the diet.
The diet?
Big time.
I know these, and then being consistent with it. And
consistency, yeah. Well, again, that's diet. Consistency, diet is nothing without consistency, right?
Yeah.
So, absolutely.
Well, that's the thing. I think consistency is probably, you know, one of
the long game. Like, you have to see the long game. I always tell people it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. And like, people will look at me, like, I'll be in the gym and I'll see, you know, a young guy, 20-year-old kid, and he'll say, you know, you look great. What can I do to look like you? I'm like, work out for 25 years.
And consistently.
So basically,
Yeah, and that's pretty much what wins it is, and that's what I tell people too. Is it's almost like stepping or ratcheting your way.
Yeah.
You know, and it's those seemingly insignificant daily workouts compounded over time that
chipping away at things.
That kind of get the big results.
Absolutely.
How about I know another thing too, and I've always talked about this, is sacrifice. I mean, in order for you to be doing what you do means that you're not doing other things. So sometimes it's not necessarily what you're doing, it's the things that you're not doing. I wonder what sacrifices have you had to make, or what have you had to give up in order to achieve what you've done?
Well, obviously, the obvious thing is going out and partying with friends on the weekend, you know, drinking, recreational activities, sometimes family events. You know, when you're dieting hard for 3-4 months, 16-week contest prep, you can't go to some of these family events. So sometimes I miss birthdays and holidays, etc. So that's tough. And then on top of that, it could really dig into your career. You know, you maybe want to be a little more successful with your business, and you can't put that time into development, and because you're training and dieting. So it's career. It actually affects all facets of life. So
yeah, and I agree 100%. Like, you just can't have it all, you know. And one thing that we all have the same 24 hours in a day, and you know, it's what do you do with those 24 hours? So you got to give some things up to achieve other things. And like you said, social life is quite a big one.
Family too. Like, you know,
family
having
too.
Kids, spending time with the children. It's
like, I got to go to the gym.
They don't understand.
How about patience too? I guess that's another
big time. Yeah.
This is not a quick fix type of
No.
program, like you said. I know I'm 25 plus years in the game, and it's the same with you. Like it's a lifelong journey.
You're
pretty
always
much.
learning. Your body's changing. The prep changes. It's never the same.
Yeah.
It's never the same.
How about as far as supplements? What's your view on? We've talked about nutrition. What's your view on supplementation? Good or no good? Do you agree with them or not?
Back when I had just started, there were various simple supplements like protein, creatine, glutamine, things like that. I bought into it. You have these big mass monsters, selling you protein powder. But as I got further along into my contest career, I realized it's really not about that. Real food is the key.
Where it's at.
So yeah, I don't really take any supplements other than micronutrients like vitamin C, vitamin D.
It's
things
funny
like
too.
that.
I think that this is another whole topic in itself. But as we age, it's
We lose, yeah.
yeah.
We lose.
Well, I find that we're not. You're looking more for overall health benefit, from what the products you're taking, as opposed to I just want to get huge sort of thing, So I find that the nutrition and the supplementation especially has really changed. So I think we're down to pretty well to our final minutes here. So I'm just wondering what are your future goals? What do you plan on achieving?
Well, I'm coming to the final twilight years of my career. They say when you hit your 40s, you're basically not marketable anymore. So I'm enjoying my time with the OPA. They've came up with this new classic bodybuilding category in the natural stream, and I'm going to go as far as I can go with it. And if that, turns out to me getting my pro card, my IFBB pro card, that'd be a dream come true. So that's what I'm going to do.
So your goal is, is it like where do you sit right now? Do you have like a provincial, or is it?
I'm at the provincial level right now, yes, and that's in August. So
that'll be the next big show, and then we're looking at nationals after that.
Yeah.
And then hopefully I guess that's where you obtain your pro card, and then you can go mix with the big boys.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think we're just about out of time. Andrew, I really appreciate you being on the show. It's been truly inspiring to listen to the advice that you've given. When we come back from the break, I'm going to highlight some of the key things that Andrew had said here. After all, success leaves clues. Welcome back. I hope that today's interview with Andrew has given you some insight into the world of bodybuilding by both dispelling some of the myths as well as presenting you an excellent example of someone who is top in their sport while still actively living and enjoying a life outside of the gym as well. I believe that my interview with Andrew today really presented the benefits of the bodybuilding lifestyle. I think that we were able to highlight the personal development that comes from this type of focus and consistency, and without question, discuss the level of sacrifice that is required to be successful in the world of bodybuilding. Most importantly, I hope that we highlighted the power of consistency in any endeavor you pursue, both in and outside of the gym. No matter if you look to train as a bodybuilder, have a passion for running, or are looking to change your diet, consistency is key. And I hope our interview with Andrew today was a shining example of the power of what consistency and dedication to your goal can achieve. Before we go, I want to leave you with this one last thought. There are three types of people: those who make things happen, those who watch things happen, and those who wonder what happened. Be like Andrew and make things happen. If you or you know someone who'd be great as a guest on my show, please contact me through my website at benlanka.com. Thanks for watching.